Hello and welcome. My name is Christina from Empowered Creator. I am a mindset and conscious manifesting teacher and coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Here I talk about all things law of assumption, mindset, conscious manifesting, the quantum universe, and a lot more. And my goal is to simplify everything without the fluff. So if you guys like this content and you would like to see more of it, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, comment on this video, like it, share it, and just stick around. Also, if you need any help with your specific situation, I offer one-on-one coaching, email coaching, small group coaching, as well as custom subliminals for whatever needs you may have. So if you're interested in any of these services, the links are below in the description box. Click on them and they're going to take you to my website. With all that being said, let's get to today's video. Today's video is for all of you guys who are manifesting a specific person and you have a third party involved. And I know we've said before that a third party can be also a circumstance, can be someone's work, can be finances, it can be any other circumstance. It doesn't have to be a person. However, those of you who are dealing with third parties who are people, not necessarily romantic, but people, are probably going to find this the most relevant. So stay tuned. So I wanted to touch on third parties again today. One reason is because a lot of you have been asking for it. And another reason is because I have been observing a pattern in the people I talk to, in coaching clients I have, and all of you who are dealing with a third party seem to actually have the same issue. And that same issue, that common issue I see in everybody is guilt. It's the pattern of guilt. Now, what might come as a surprise is that it doesn't matter what kind of third-party situation you're involved in, the guilt seems to be common and seems to be shared across the board. And what do I mean by that? Some of you are manifesting a specific person who is right now in another relationship or maybe even in a marriage. Some of you are manifesting a specific person who you used to be together with and they left you for a third party and so now they're dating a third party. Some of you are not dealing with a romantic third party. Some of you are dealing with your specific person's family or with their friends or maybe with their coworkers or with a boss. No matter what the situation is, what type of third party you are dealing with, all of you are displaying the same pattern of guilt, which can be surprising, but it is how it is. So if you're manifesting a specific person who's in another relationship or even in a marriage, you have the guilt that, oh, maybe I'm going to break that relationship, maybe I'm breaking that marriage, maybe I shouldn't. There's the whole social conditioning also that comes in. So you have that kind of guilt. If you were left for a third party by your specific person, you still have the guilt that, oh, maybe they're happier with that new person. Maybe I'm actually interfering with their happiness. Should I be doing that? If it's a non-romantic third party, if it's a boss, if it's a mother, if it's a father, if it's the whole family, if it's siblings, if it's friends, you still have the guilt that, oh, maybe I'm making them go against their family. Maybe I'm making them go against their work people. Maybe I'm interfering with their happiness. Again, there's the guilt in there. So as I said, no matter what the third party situation you're dealing with is, the pattern of guilt seems to be common and seems to be shared across the board. So I wanted to address that today in this video because I think it's a very significant factor and it can actually be holding you back from experiencing your manifestation. It might be holding your manifestation back from actually materializing into the 3D, which is not what we want. So the first thing I want you to realize when you're dealing with a third party in any situation, any of the situations I described, or even another situation that I didn't describe, is that you need to realize that the third party is not, has never been, and will never be separate from you. Remember how we always discuss how we're all one? We're all part of one consciousness. We all share that same one consciousness. And so we're not really separate from one another. It may seem like it in the 3D. It might feel like it in the 3D because in the 3D we're used to thinking and perceiving others as separate from us. So I get that. But in reality, we are all one. We're all connected. None of us is separate. So that means the third party is not actually separate from you. The third party, like everybody else in your reality, is also someone who is reflecting part of your consciousness back to you. The third party is someone who you have manifested into your reality to show you the contents of your own consciousness. That's what they're reflecting. That's what they're mirroring back to you. And your whole guilt, your whole perception, your whole stance towards that issue is what is keeping the third party there. Whether that is a girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, or a new boyfriend that they left you for, or a non-romantic third party, whether it's a mom, a dad, a sibling, a friend, a co-worker, a boss, whatever and whoever they might be. So after you realize that the third party can only ever mirror the contents of your own consciousness, just like your SP and just like everyone else, hopefully that will make it a little easier on you to actually let go of that guilt and to start trusting yourself and to start embracing your desire with more determination. And I want you to start thinking of that third party, whoever they might be, not as your opponent, not as your enemy, not as your competitor, because there is no competition. We're all one. Your only competition is with yourself, with your own consciousness that you're trying to convince that your desire is yours and that there are no true obstacles, no true circumstances that are standing in the way. You are the only one standing in your own way. And so any third party is not actually your competitor. They are your ally, they're your supporter, they're your friend. They want your desire for you just as you want your desire for you. I know it sounds very incredible. I know it sounds very hard to believe. I know it might be a little bit on a higher spiritual realm, but in a higher truth, in a higher reality, not the reality that we're perceiving strictly with our ego self, with our ego mind, this is how it is. And so I want you to start easing on that guilt about the third party or the third parties, whatever it might be. And I want you to start seeing them as your allies and as your supporters. And you can actually do that in multiple ways. You can apply some techniques if that's easier for you to believe and to convince yourself. For example, you could have some inner conversations with the third party where you imagine them telling you that they approve of your relationship with your specific person. They're very happy for you. You're meant for each other. You belong together. They're very happy to know that you two are together and things like that. You can also respond back and say, thank you. I'm very happy you support this relationship. I knew you would support this relationship. These are just examples. Again, as I always say, pick what resonates with you. Go with what resonates with you. But start treating that third party in your consciousness, not as someone who's standing in your way, but as someone who has just happened to manifest in your life to show you the contents of your own consciousness, to show you some of the contents of your own self-concept. And start easing on that guilt, start overcoming that guilt by actually seeing them in a different light. They're not there to get you, they're not there to stop you, they're not there to be in your way. They are there to be transcended by you as you grow into your consciousness and into your awareness, and you realize that the only person to convince is yourself. There is nothing and no one standing in your way. And I know I mentioned inner conversations. I tend to like inner conversations a lot, but don't feel obligated to just go with that method. If you prefer affirmations, for example, if you prefer to visualize, if you prefer to script, if you prefer to meditate, feel free to do any of these methods or a combination of those. These are just to convince yourself, to get yourself into a state, into a different perception of reality, of how reality is and who the third party is in relation to you, in relation to your SP, and the relationship between the two of you. So if you feel like affirming instead, affirm that you have everyone's support, that the third party supports your relationship. That is if you can't stay indifferent. But usually, most people dealing with the third party are not able to be entirely indifferent. Usually there is some guilt in there. From my experience and from what I see, talking to people, talking to clients, there's always some guilt of some sort in one way or another. You can script it. You can script that they're in support of your relationship. You can script that they approve of your relationship. You can also visualize it. You can visualize a short scene that implies that maybe you're talking to them in that scene. Or maybe you overhear them talking to someone else. Create a scene, a very short scene that implies that that third party is now approving of this relationship. And again, you don't have to do any of the techniques. The goal here is to start letting go of that guilt that is probably holding you back and holding your manifestation back. and to start convincing yourself that there are no people in your way, there is nothing in your way, and that everyone around you actually supports you. Everyone around you actually agrees with you. As Florence Scovel-Shinn would say, my world takes care of me. So start changing your perceptions of that third party or third parties, and you are going to see your whole perception about your manifestation change if you do that, and that is going to result in an internal shift. And then you are going to be perceiving reality differently. And then surprise, the 3D is going to change to actually reflect that new reality back to you. That shift, that internal shift, that new perception, it's going to reflect it back to you. With all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I intend that this has helped. As always, I very much appreciate you guys being on this channel, watching this content. I love making this content for you. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all at the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.